It's hard to believe, but we are just a few short weeks away from the launch of the PS5 and the release of Demon's Souls Remake. But despite how close we are to release, we know surprisingly little about the remake. As of the time of this recording, October 27th, we haven't seen any multiplayer gameplay. We've seen none of the UI, aside from that really disappointing "You Died" font, which I really hope they change. And we really don't have an idea of how much content's going to be added and just what's going to be changed. But the amount of information we don't know does have me hopeful, because while I've been in love with Demon's Souls since 2009, there is a lot that I would change. So I want to make a video talking about just what I would change with the remake. I'm talking about simple fixes, quality of life, up to some bigger changes and modifications with the systems, up into my final huge-ass theory I have about the game that they would change, but I want to save that for last, because that's what's really going to rake in the dislikes, so I'm going to hold that shit. And of course, if you disagree, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. I want to keep the discussion going. So starting off, I think the most basic, essential thing they need to do is just an across-the-board AI rework. I just did a recent playthrough about a month ago, and that AI did not hold up, I'll be honest. I'm a Souls game dick suck, but I gotta be honest, that AI was shitty. I'm talking about the gargoyles in 3-2, which just lift off and fly away for 20 minutes before finding you. The fight against Garl Vinland is incredibly easy to stun lock him. That might come down to a change of that arena, which I'd love to see. But the AI does need a change. A lot of the enemies and bosses fall into very predictable patterns, and it does look like they're going in that direction, given by what we've seen of the Vanguard, the new move that we've seen for the Armored Spider, where he spits out all the oil and lights it on fire, which is, I think, just a substitute for that big flame blast to make you back up, which functionally is still the same. It just better conveys the idea of you need to get the fuck out, because we're going to have a big-ass explosion. So I love that, and I'd really love to see that kind of change, or those kind of changes, really get pushed to a higher degree. Another big change we need, and this is no secret to anybody, but the spells in Demon's Souls are horribly unbalanced. And I'm not just talking about the offensive spells, I'm talking about, like, warding, for example. Warding is just, it removes all challenge. The amount of damage that you get reduced by having warding on just makes so many fights a cakewalk. You get away with so many mistakes, and it's so easy to get on your character. Pretty much any melee build should invest just a few points into, I think it's intelligence, to get warding, and you need nothing else. And the damage reduction is just ridiculous. It was really, like, I did King Alon in a couple tries, because his attacks just really got reduced in damage. So, and then of course you have Firestorm, which everybody knows is a one-shotting machine. There's probably a lot of stuff I'm missing, but I don't think it's a hot topic, and I'd be really surprised if the spells didn't get nerfed in the remake. I don't want to see them get gutted like in, you know, Dark Souls 1 and 3. Well, they weren't really gutted in those, but they were a lot worse. I don't want to see that. I still want to see them be viable and capable, but not how they are now. They're just... See, Demon's Souls, and I mean this in a couple different points I'm going to make, Demon's Souls was a very experimental game, being their first game, so there was a lot that they tried and got away with that they just figured out in later games just didn't work and needed changed. Which brings up my next point, soul form. I think 50% of your health being cut is just way too much of a penalty. I think in Dark Souls 3 with the Embering mechanic, they really nailed how much of a health bonus you should receive to justify the possibility of being invaded. But in Demon's Souls, you're not just dealing with the possibility of being invaded, you're dealing with world tendency. If you're unfamiliar, if you die in a world in Demon's Souls while you're human, the world tendency of that level shifts towards black, and the darker it gets, it makes the level harder, spawns in more enemies, and makes them deal more damage. I remember my first playthrough. It was 4-2 that I tried over and over and over, and every single time I turned human thinking, man, that extra health is really going to help me out. But by the end, I made the level ridiculously harder for myself. And I do like this mechanic. But now that everybody knows what it does, all this means in practice is that, you know, when you turn a human from killing a boss, all you're going to do is just suicide in the Nexus, because that world tendency shifting black doesn't really matter anything, because it's the hub world. And everybody had the Cling Ring on, which makes the health penalty 75% instead of 50%. So effectively, everybody had that ring, and there was really only one ring slot in the game, so the flexibility and creativity with some builds was really not as much as I'd like to see. Now, I'm hesitant to say that 4 ring slots would fix it. I've seen some people say that, but I just don't think the game is balanced around that. But at the same time, if we're going to change the soul form penalty, then the Cling Ring needs to be changed as well and rebalanced, or outright have its function changed. I want to reiterate that I do love world tendency, and I love the fact that some events are tied behind certain conditions, but I think that it should be more transparent to the player as far as how you change it. I don't know a single person who hasn't wiki-dived as far as how to change the tendency to white to get, the Dragon Bone Smasher. I think the way that it should be changed shouldn't necessarily be easier, but it should be more apparent to the player, and it shouldn't have as much of a reliance on online features. One thing I am noticing with the new game, as far as the content being added that I'm really excited about, is new weapons, new armor sets. From what we've seen with the Demon's Souls Digital Deluxe Edition, which is $20 more, and you see this image here, this is all the content that you get for being a Digital Deluxe Edition, which is straight up pay to win. You pay $20 more, you get all of this amazing shit. You get new armor sets, which look like late game if it's Red Eye Knight armor, a new shield, the Ritual Blade, which the gold skeletons used in 4.2, which you already know I'm doing PvP day one with that shit. That's a great fucking addition, and I want to see a lot more of that. I really hope that this is just the tip of the iceberg for new content in this game. And then, of course, you have the Reaper Scythe, which does seem to be pre-order exclusive DLC, or pre-order exclusive weapon, which, I mean, I'm just going to be straight up, this is horrible. I'm really sad to see this. But seeing more weapons and seeing more potential build variety is really exciting to me, because the one area that I'm the most hopeful for Demon's Souls is its PvP. We're finally having a PvP system be made by someone other than From Software, which has just repeatedly shown incompetence as far as their PvP structure has been. Their netcode is garbage, and there's hardly any form of anti-cheat. And when it comes to PvP, even in the most stable PvP games like Dark Souls Remastered and Dark Souls 3, you're always accounting for a half-second of lag in all of your moves. That straight up plays into the meta of how you play, is accounting for the half-second it takes for your hits to register. So seeing someone other than From Software do the multiplayer, and, you know, I don't think BluePoint has done multiplayer before this game, but it's not a far bar to surpass as far as From Software goes. Which kind of brings me into my next change I would make. Now we're really kind of getting into the biggest changes that I would make with the game. That first one being the Pantheon. I don't know who remembers the Pantheon in the Nexus, but it was at the top level. It was a circular room with all these pedestals where you could see the top ranked players, which I believe they were measured by a point system from how many phantoms they killed, how many hosts they invaded and destroyed. And it was pretty cool to see that level of community interactivity, like who were the strongest players and who was killing the most other players. Now, I'm not sure how many people are going to agree with this, but I would love to see the Pantheon be changed into an actual proper arena with a proper ranked system for PvP. You're still tying into that idea of the Pantheon being the place of the strongest warriors, and you actually have a practical use of it instead of a very vague ranking system. I've always got the impression over the years that PvP has kind of been not at the forefront of FromSoft's priorities with their games. The best it's been has been Dark Souls 3, because the arena in that game was really good, and it did have a little bit of a ranking system with the emblems, but I really want to see them take that step forward with like a good skill-based matchmaking. Maybe this sounds a little, I don't know, try-hard, or it's definitely skewed in that far direction of Souls players that prioritize the PvP over the PvE, and I love both, but I would just love to see the PvE in a game get the best attention it's ever gotten, with potentially the best netcode in a Souls game, and an actual properly ranked arena being the Pantheon. I think there's a lot of potential there, and I'd love to see BluePoint capitalize that with this remake. Now let's get into my 5-head theory. The biggest change that I would make to the game, this is an idea that I had a few months ago when the game got announced. This is something that I would change about the game. I didn't really, you know, I wasn't very vocal about it. I maybe brought it up once or twice, but as soon as this image came out, this kind of feeds into my theory. So I just want to get it out there. I want to get it on paper so that if it is real, your boy KD called it first. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So I think the two biggest problems with Demon's Souls are the healing system and the item burden. Because in Demon's Souls, with the grass, because you're getting it constantly, you effectively have infinite heals. I think they really struck gold in Dark Souls 1 with the Estus Flask system, giving you limited heals that you can replenish at a bonfire, or, I mean, in this case, an Artstone. But how would you add something like that into the game retroactively without completely eliminating the usefulness of getting all that grass? Well, let's think about item burden, which, you know, like I said, Demon's Souls was a very experimental game. They didn't have as much foresight as they do now, and item burden was just a feature that didn't work. I'm sure everybody got to that point in in 1-2, you go down, you find the tower shield, and then you scramble through your inventory thinking, okay, what do I not need? The shield weighs like 35 points, I have to ditch so much shit or risk losing the item forever to just pick it up. Same with like the Dragon Bone Smasher, okay? You know, item burden was a feature that never returned in any Souls game, and they're very right for doing that. It just is something that didn't work. So we have infinite healing. We have an outdated item burden mechanic. Here's what they could do that would solve both of these issues. What if Stockpile Thomas was, okay, you know what? Get ready to cringe, okay? That's all I'm saying. What if Stockpile Thomas was Farmer Thomas? Okay? I mean, instead of looking after your equipment, he's looking after a garden. And in the levels, instead of picking up, you know, crescent moon grass or half moon grass, you're picking up crescent seeds or half moon seeds. And you can bring these seeds back to Thomas to grow the garden, and you take a little bit of the grass with you each time as your limited heals. And you can allocate these different seeds into, okay, do you want a lot of really heavy heals, or do you want a lot of really minor heals? Because I'm sure, you know, for me personally, when I play the game, you get things like Dark Moon Grass, you know, New Moon Grass, and you never fucking use them, because you don't want to. You don't want to waste that really valuable item. If it's a limited item that you can replenish, you won't feel too bad about using it. So finding these seeds and bringing them back to upgrade your garden and kind of scale through the game to get more heals. But also, you know, I think of Dark Souls 3, I think of allocating your Estus flasks in the similar kind of system. You kind of allocate what heals and what grass you want to bring with you, so you don't have infinite heals, but you can still choose what you want to bring into a level. It's a lot of work, I'm sure, to balance that to be right. But, you know, I think that's... You know, I think it's a decent theory. I think that would solve both of those issues, and it's not going to conflict with the lore. I think of Stockpile Thomas, he's like a very timid character, and he's balding as well, so that's perfect for a farmer, you know what I mean? And I was kind of holding on to this theory, I didn't really tell too many people, and then I saw the Digital Deluxe Edition, and I see that item, Preservation Grants, and I'm thinking, oh my god, these bastards are about to do it. I need to get this theory out there before... I'm like, oh, hey, guys, I thought of it first. Shut the fuck up, Katie. You didn't think of shit. You're just trying to get clout. You know what I mean? I'm putting it out there. But there's also phosphorescent grains and bear bug grains. They might go, if it is for that mechanic, they might go a little further with that than I expected. I don't know. It remains to be seen. We really don't know what they're going to do in this remake. But that's pretty much everything that I would change with this remake. I'll be honest, even if they don't touch on a lot of these things, it's still going to be a great game. But I think, you know, as far as my personal preferences, if they did all of these things, Demon's Souls has a lot of potential to be the best Souls game in this series. And I'm not saying they have to go strictly with these ideas to get there, but the point I'm making is that there's a lot of dumb shit in Demon's Souls that just shouldn't be there, and they have a huge opportunity with this remake to change those and make really the best game they can. So let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree, if you have any similar five-head theories to me. I'd love to keep the discussion going, and yeah, fingers crossed that Demon's Souls is Game of the Year, baby. We'll see. That's going to do it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. And I will be streaming Demon's Souls Day 1. Hopefully. If I get that PS5 on time. I don't know. We'll see. Fingers crossed. We'll see. Alright, later, guys.